Hey guys, it's Kevin from the New Warehouse podcast here at Modex, and I'm in the Nucor booth, and we're going to talk to Daniel Aguirre. We're going to catch up with him a little bit and hear what Nucor's been up to, some exciting projects, and a little bit of focus on sustainability as well. So Daniel, how are you, son?
Doing well, Kevin.
Yeah.
Appreciate you making time. Modex 2024, another busy year.
Yeah.
So you were able to carve out time, come to our booth. Really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the booth here. I love the 3D printed rack and pallets, actually. My son would go crazy about this.
Honestly, a lot of our customers, they see this after we finish a project. We like to send it over to them so they have a display in their office.
Oh, that's very cool. I like that. I see them all over too. That's very cool.
Yeah.
So for people that aren't familiar with Nucor, why don't you give us a little background, what it is that you guys do?
Yeah, so Nucor Warehouse Systems specifically, we are the racking division of Nucor, which is the largest steel producer and the largest recycler in North America. What we focus on at Warehouse Systems is racking products, but truly delivering a turnkey solution. So what I mean by that is from design, engineering, to manufacturing and install of that product.
Right. Yeah, I think it's so interesting too, the way that you guys have kind of developed that, because you said you're the largest steel manufacturers, right?
Yes.
Taking that, and we know in the warehouse, where does the steel go? It goes into the rack, right?
Exactly.
So I think that's such a great thing. So tell us a little bit about, because you have a big project you guys just announced, right?
Yes.
I think yesterday was the announcement,
Correct.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we're actually launching an ASRS rack supported project. It's a 97-foot tall building.
97 feet tall.
Yes,
so that's this is probably what, 40, 50?
Yeah, so definitely
double
in this. So you're going to be looking, might hurt your neck after a while looking up, but it's going to be a tall project. It'll be located in Virginia.
Okay.
We're launching it in about June. We'll start the install of the racking. So what's unique about this, 7,600 pallet positions. It's connected to an existing structure, and we're coming in the beginning, putting a crane, putting our racking up, then IMP panels from our IMP division, which is metal span. We'll be tying it and installing it, and it's going to be a full automated system.
Really? Wow. That's very interesting. So it's attached to an existing structure.
Correct.
The existing structure 97 feet tall?
It is. So they're just adding on to it. Very unique when it comes to the design engineering aspect of it. It was a challenge for sure, but our team did a good job and was overcoming that, so we're excited to install it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, obviously we see kind of the typical warehouse maybe is going to be 30, 40 feet clear, right?
Yes, correct.
But 97 feet, that's huge. So when you're starting to go that high and that tall, what are some of the differences in maybe design or structure that you have to consider?
Yeah, so a lot of differences actually.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about rack supported, it's constantly becoming more of a movement towards that type of certain design.
Yeah.
And really it's coming down to square footage and how do these cold storage buildings become closer to consumers.
Right.
So the density is super important, and just the overall environment to work in. No one wants to work in a negative 15 degree cooler, right? So you're going to be automated.
Yeah.
But to your question, the main difference is really when it comes to the engineering aspect, we're not engineering with inside a building, we're engineering the building.
Yeah.
So it's a huge thing to overcome, but really understand and go into the details to make sure that we cross all the T's, dot all the I's, because we are the building, like I said.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's cold storage too, right? So
Yes.
So I think that adds let's just make it more complicated, right?
We like to take a
challenge, right?
exactly.
That's good.
But luckily, like I mentioned, we have our IMP division, Metal Span, which is part of the Nucor family. They have a lot of expertise within that market. So they're coming in to support us and making sure when it comes to cold storage, as you mentioned, there is no leakage of the air.
Yeah, I think that's so important too, because you want to keep that temperature consistent at the same thing, or else you're going to be losing money, right? It's just like a drafty house.
Yeah, and you're spot on with that. If we're losing that temperature and it's going up, that much more energy is going to bring it down. So it ties in what we kind of mentioned prior to this, is just sustainability. Luckily, we were just talking about sustainability, but how do we, not only from our facility, but theirs, and being as efficient as possible when it comes to these storage units?
Yeah, absolutely. And let's talk a little bit about that sustainability aspect, right? Because that's a big thing for you guys. I remember last time we talked, one of the big things we harped on was safety, right?
Correct.
Sustainability is also a big thing for you as well. You've gone green, we could say, actually.
There's a lot of green for sure.
Right? But you also had a little talk too about sustainability panel. So tell us about how that becomes kind of like a core mission for Nucor as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So sustainability, we're on that panel. I'm in the A Hall yesterday. It was a great honor to be part of it and really speak to the Modex material handling industry. I was lucky enough and honored enough to be with two different panelists. The CEO of ITC Manufacturing, which is a great partner of ours, who does all the manufacturing of wire deck. And then we had another teammate from Nucor, from our fabricated products team, that came and spoke about Nucor as an enterprise and what our mission is for sustainability.
Yeah.
But to touch on exactly, the key points, takeaways from yesterday.
Sure, yeah.
We are going to be the first racking manufacturer with the EPD, Environmental Product Declaration.
Really?
And what that does is really to provide transparency to our customers of our scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions. So they understand if they have any, sustainability goals, which we're seeing it's becoming a bigger movement with a lot of our Fortune 500 customers, that we can support that goal and make sure they achieve it in that timeline.
Yeah, and I think that's such an interesting thing, and I think it's becoming more and more important. I mean, it's always been important, right, to take care of our environment.
Yes,
right? But it's becoming more and more important from the fact of government regulations and reporting standards and things like that. So I mean, how is that going to really help and benefit these warehousing companies that are going to, obviously utilize rack, but have that kind of information? I think it's
it's like I said. What we try to really convey to our customers, progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
So starting with the EPD, you're starting with a metric where you can measure where you are today.
Yeah.
And then you could have that goal and make progress towards that goal. So just starting with the transparency is step one. So we're excited to support them on that end. There's other things we do offer it to as well. Being part of Nucor, we are the largest recycler as well when it comes to steel.
Right.
So our DJJ, which is our scrap division, what we do as we're talking about ASRS, automation within material handling, we go into older racking facilities with standard pallet rack, and customers want to upgrade to automation. We'll disassemble the old rack, send it to our scrap division, we'll remelt it down into new steel, and bring in the new ASRS racking to support it.
Interesting. So you're kind of going like full circle there.
Full product life cycle right there.
Yeah. I think that's a great thing, and I was going to ask you about that. I mean, when somebody decides like they want to do like an ASRS system, I mean, it sounds like you guys are able to recycle that steel, but I'm curious, in some situations, I mean, are you able to repurpose the steel or the rack that they already have in place? Or?
Not necessarily, just because when it comes to automation or upgrading a warehouse, usually why they're doing it is because their product changed, so their storage and their design changed. We have seen some customers send their used rack.
Yeah.
The challenge is, though, when it comes to used rack, there's so many different things that can happen when transportation or tearing it down that could be damaged, so it may not be very safe to utilize in a new facility.
Yeah.
So we strongly, we inform them. Obviously, it's up to the customer to make that decision, but we advise that it would be much safer to put in new racking.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I was curious about that too, because like you think about the sustainability aspect, it's like, how can we salvage some things maybe or make that work? But
Absolutely.
The fact that you're able to take that and also, melt it down and reuse it and put it into maybe a different form factor, but same steel, right? I think it goes a long way, certainly. So when we look at kind of the racking as a whole, right? I mean, racking is pretty traditional to the space, right? And we're here at Modex, we see tons of innovation, everything around. So what's kind of the latest in racking? Have there been any innovations in racking that we should know about?
Oh man, that's a great question.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say any major innovation from a racking steel structure side. The thing that I would highlight is we keep talking about is just ASRS, right?
Yeah.
As we're here in Modex, there's a lot of automation going on at all times. So it requires us to be versatile with our racking manufacturing capabilities to support any of these automation providers. So innovation-wise, I would just say from a design engineering aspect, more so on that end to make sure that we can support those different automation providers.
Yeah.
But nothing that I could highlight of something that is going to be groundbreaking as of now.
Yeah. I mean, racking is, put the pallet on, right? It's
Yeah,
there,
you know,
right?
it does its job. It does its job, and it's sturdy, and we get it done.
Absolutely, and I'm curious too. I mean, as we've seen, because in the last few years as well, like obviously there's been a large explosion of e-commerce, right?
Yes,
and so
absolutely.
Those I guess sizes of bins and things like that has changed the way we look at kind of shelving and how the racking is positioned. Are you still seeing primarily that pallet type spaces are kind of the demand, or is there some other things that are coming into the mix?
No, not necessarily. What we see is both, right? Whether it's pallet storage or you're talking goods to person. For larger DCs, we'll see more of the pallet storage, but if you're talking about last mile type storage facilities, we'll see more goods to person, because that's going to go into the transportation and the whole supply to get to an end user or consumer.
Interesting. Yeah, I was curious about that. And so as we look to, I know one of the big core things for you guys is safety.
Absolutely.
Right? We talked about that previously on a podcast, right? But I'm curious, maybe you could give us like a good safety tip before we wrap up here.
Yeah, what we always say, right? Have the courage to speak up,
I like that.
It's always important to hold each other accountable, to be safe, because we all want to go back home to our families, right? Better than we showed up to the job site or to our facilities. So what I would say about safety, it's our value, right? That's what we hold deep to our hearts, to ensure we're taking care of all of our teammates. And we continue to grow within that, because it's a journey. It's a never-ending journey. So safety to us, like I mentioned, is our value, and we're doing it at our facilities. And as we talked about last year, pushing it towards all of our customers and partners' facilities, because we want to continue to share that journey with all of our partners.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's such a great core to have too, because I think that thing is so important to be able to have that comfortability to speak up to, and be able to challenge and say like, hey, like no, stop, like you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Instead of feeling like I'm going to tell you that you're doing something wrong and you're going to come back negative at me, right?
No, absolutely. And it's something that we continue to learn in a journey, as I mentioned. But when you have a teammate, and you have a face and a name to that teammate, and then you have a family member to that teammate, and then even a pet, right?
Oh yeah.
It totally changes your outlook of that person and that teammate. So you feel that deep, and you want to take it one step further to take that safety that much serious.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great note to end this conversation on, because I think the safety is at the core of everything we do within the warehouse. So it's great that you guys are having that tenet too, and making sure that you're driving that home. So really appreciate you welcoming into your booth here. If people are interested in learning more about Nucor, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, head to our website, either nucor.com or nucorwarehousesystems.com, or you could find us on LinkedIn as well.
All right, great. All right, so that's Nucor Warehouse Systems here at Modex, and we'll put all the information about them in the description of this video so you guys can easily find it. So definitely check them out for all your racking needs. So Daniel, thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin, and congratulations to 5 years, man.
Oh, thank you, yes.
Well done. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem.